just having all that pressure on you, you think you don't need the help. You think you're the one that's got to get it done. Like, but at the end of the day, like everyone needs help, and that's how you achieve great things, right, guys?
I just gotta get it, I just gotta get it, I just gotta go. I just gotta flip it, watch the money grow. So a little mama, drop it down to the floor. After one night.
What's good, everyone? It's your boy LeBrankston. We're back again with another Dear Radio episode. You already know it. I got the best co-host with me. I got Dear Siege and Dear Michael. Unfortunately, Dear TKD2, he couldn't be here tonight. Something came up, but you know what? Show goes on. How we doing, fellas?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Man, I'm doing great. I'm glad to see y'all boys are doing great. Tonight, we have another special guest for Storytime segment. Again, Storytime segment is where we introduce a great guest. They come on our show, tell them a little bit about their life stories, and then we wrap it up with the word of the week. And tonight's guest has been an OG listener. He's a close friend of mine. We went to school at UK together. Like I said, he's an OG listener. He's been listening since one of the first couple episodes. He always hops in my Twitch live streams and TKD2's live stream. He is currently an athletic trainer. He's the head athletic trainer for the youth and academies at Lexington Sports Club, while he's also trying to get his doctorates in athletic training as well. He's a former UK graduate, like I said, with a bachelor's in kinesiology, exercise science, and also a graduate from Eastern Kentucky with his master's in athletic training. Give it up to my guy, Chris Padilla. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. Just got off a full day of work today.
Yeah, heck yeah. Dude, you work some crazy hours at that level.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, I'm sure you enjoy it, man.
Yeah, it was nice. I had reserve women's training in the morning.
Okay.
And then got like an hour off to come home, let the dogs out, eat some lunch.
Hey, and then right back to the grind.
Right back to it, yeah.
Well, before we go any further, like I said, we always wrap up Storytime segment with the word of the week. This week's word of the week is achievement. So make sure that you guys are thinking of the word in the back of your head, and we'll wrap up the show with the word achievement, and Chris will probably let you speak on what the word achievement means to you. But Chris, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, just an hour and a half away, but I always grew up a Kentucky fan, so you can't hate me from where I'm from, all right? I still bleed blue. But yeah, I went to DeSales High School out there. I was fortunate enough to be on scholarship to go to Catholic school most of my life, so that was always fun. But grew up in Shively, if you guys know where that's from. But then went to University of Kentucky. I started off actually as an engineering student. I wanted to be a biomedical engineer and make like sporting equipment, like cleats, helmets, gloves, all the fun stuff. Then I realized that I hated all of that. And halfway through my junior year, I switched over to exercise science and kinesiology. I had some friends there, so it made the switch a little bit easier. But yeah, and that's how I kind of started with what I wanted to do. I didn't even know an athletic trainer existed, so I had no idea what it was until I took an athletic training class, and I was like, all right, I can do this. This seems fun. Did some shadowing hours, and that kind of led me to going to grad school in state. I didn't want to leave. I'm a Kentucky boy through and through, so I wanted to stay in state. Did my master's at Eastern Kentucky. And yeah, that led me to some crazy journeys. I got to work in professional sports as a student and as a certified athletic trainer now. I got to do college. Pretty cool fact, in my first 3 years, I had already done high school, collegiate, and professional sports as a certified athletic trainer. So that was a cool little tidbit about me. And yeah, I'm just glad I got to make it back to Kentucky and getting to work for my local club. So it's been fun.
No, that's pretty amazing. I mean, I want to ask though, like, were there any like ill will from your family saying, we're from Louisville, but you want to go to Kentucky, or was it just always a support system that, go wherever you want to go?
Oh, well, coming from a Hispanic household, my mom and my dad did not want me to leave the city. They were like, you got to stay here. Like, Plus, they were like, "You Louisville's gonna give you so much money," and I was like, "They're giving me the same money. It's fine." But all my friends were coming to Kentucky. I was a Kentucky fan,
Yeah.
and honestly, I felt like for me, I needed to get away for a little bit. Still close to
Mm,
home, but I could grow as my own person without having to be surrounded by everybody.
that makes sense. When you got to UK and you started like going through the years, courses, obviously, experiencing your own life at Kentucky, do you think it was everything you would liked it for it to be like at the moments that you was there? Because obviously you grew up watching it and being a fan of it. You may have obviously went to some campus visits, but never really fully experienced it because you wasn't a student there. So like when you became a student, do you think it was like everything you wanted it to be, or was it something missing while you was at school?
Honestly, I didn't even know what to expect. Like, I was the
Mm,
first kid out of my whole family to go to college, so I had no idea. All I know was from like movies and TV shows, and I'm like, that's gonna be crazy. Uh, but luckily, I always thought to keep my head down low and keep working hard.
yeah,
So yeah, it was cool getting to go to all the basketball games, all the football games, and just living that college experience. But I didn't realize how tough it was gonna be just being on my own. Like,
yeah,
realistically, my support system was like an hour and a half away, but still, like, they're not there. So,
yeah,
um, good thing I had three of my best friends that came to Kentucky with me. So it was always nice having them around, whether I needed a ride back home or just needed someone to hang out with. But lucky enough, my dorm at the time, Holmes Hall, before I was the last class that lived in there before they tore it down. But
mm,
uh, there were a lot of other kids just like me, first gen kids. They didn't really know what to expect. First kid in their or first one in their family to go to school. Um, so it's nice. Actually, a couple of them from went to North Hardin, and they were already friends. So I just kind of jumped in that friend group, and it was pretty easy once I got to know them too. And we're still friends. I just hung out with them like last week.
it's crazy. Small world. North Hardin is crazy. It's right across the street, right? You know. Uh,
basically.
basically.
Nah, for real.
No, that's funny. When you was at school, when you mean by you didn't understand how difficult it was going to be. Was it the aspect of not having your support system nearby? Obviously, it's an hour and a half, but like not like in the same city, or was it more so like, man, the coursework is tough? I asked that question because when I was there, I had my own idea of what college would be. Obviously, the experience was the experience you make it, but going to class, waking up at 8 a.m., thinking that's the right thing to do to schedule at 8 a.m. first place. And then obviously it's a math class. So, like, for me, it was just all hectic. And then just trying to go through the rigorous time schedule of what it looks like, and you don't really understand like the system until probably if you make it to your junior year, and then it's just a whole hectic schedule, and just not knowing, and then one to go to a certain point of like, this is my major, but why am I taking all these like extracurricular courses? Why am I a business major, but I'm taking like history and and biology and chemistry? Like it didn't, at me, for me, it didn't really make sense. So I couldn't like wrap my head around all these classes that didn't really necessarily, to me, think I was going to use it post college. So like what aspect of like the challenge was it for you, just for like listeners when they go to college, they kind of understand, okay, this is what I need to look out for. This is not what I look out for. This is what I need to stay focused on.
Yeah, I think as a first gen, the biggest thing that kind of hit me hard was like just the aspect of having to navigate like all the financial situations. So like
Yeah,
FAFSA, getting a job on campus
true.
versus getting a job off of campus. I lived on campus, so I didn't even have a car. Like it was just kind of trying to navigate life of a student with no real support system.
Yeah,
Um, like I was a pretty smart kid. I got a 31 on my ACT, not to brag, but and I
congrats.
was, I thought I was gonna be smartest kid back in college too, and then I realized, I'm probably one of the dumber ones hanging out in the engineering department. Um, but just that on top of the course load, it was just a lot for a 17-year-old kid. Like I got
Yeah,
into college when I was 17, so I was still young, um, and just having to do that all on my own because my parents, like, they understand English, they can speak it, but navigating something through like that is like something they've never seen before. So just
right.
having to do it on my own, or at least I thought I had to do it on my own, was kind of like the biggest thing. But as I got on, like junior year, senior year, everything was going smooth. Um, I knew what to do, how to take care of myself. At that point, like soft junior year, my sisters started college too, and like I tried to help them out as much as I could. But even then, like being the only one, it's kind of hard to help everybody else out when I still had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just trying to navigate through all that, being the only one that can help yourself.
No, that makes sense.
No,
That makes sense.
yeah, I feel that. Chris, what years did you when did you start at UK? Because I know we kind of overlapped a little bit because I know we had some classes in the kinesiology department, but when were you there from?
So I started in 2013, and I had to take an extra year, so I graduated in 2018. So
Okay,
from
Mm,
so that
2013 to
makes more
2018.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I knew you were a little bit older. Because me and Mike and TK, we all went there from what 15 to 19. Mike.
yeah, I mean, I graduated 18, but 15 to, yeah, 15
Okay,
to,
okay, yeah, cool. Way to show off.
you know, had to get up out
But
of there,
yeah,
man.
nah, I remember Chris is my guy. We like he said, I never even realized you were an engineering major, by the way, until I read the form that you filled out. I was like, huh, that's a little interesting. I never knew that because all I remember is we had a couple classes with uh Jill Day, if you remember her.
Yeah.
Shout out Jill Day with I forgot even what class that was.
She
Um,
can't touch her toes, guys, but that's okay.
no, we had a lot of fun. Like Chris said, like Chris, ever since I met Chris, Chris was like a hustler. Like every time I walked in the JC, Chris was always there, always working, always doing something in campus rec. So Mike, you probably seen him at the JC a couple times. He probably checked
Probably,
you in, and you never even knew it.
yeah,
But
probably.
Chris, what did you have any other jobs? Because I felt like you were all over the place at UK when I knew you.
Oof. Yeah, I had a lot of jobs. So in the summers, even off campus, I'd go help out my dad and my grandpa with their roofing business. Um, so in the summers, I was out on those roofs putting shingles down. We did a little commercial stuff, so like working on tar roofs and stuff like that. And whether it was helping them out or helping my uncle out, who was a painter, or helping my other uncle out, who was did a lot of masonry, so laying down bricks. But on campus, I pretty much worked almost every job you could in campus rec. Um, I actually
Mm.
got in trouble a couple of times because I was maxing out how many hours I could work at the JC and at intramurals. But no, my campus jobs I'm
Did you
super
say you can
grateful
get,
for.
did you say you can get in trouble for maxing out hours?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they only want to pay you so much, right, Chris?
yeah, it
Uh,
was because it's technically all part time, and if you work more hours than that, then they technically have to offer you benefits. Uh, so yeah,
that's it.
I was maxed out on all my hours every week. Um, but I did intramurals. I started off as a referee, soccer referee, freshman year,
Mm,
um, and I slowly got moved up to, I don't even know what they called me. It was like intramural coordinator, student coordinator, or something like that. But basically, I
You were
was
working
doing,
too many hours. They just had to give you just some random title.
yeah, basically. So I was basically a GA without the GA title for a little bit.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
mm,
and then in the JC, I got up to manager. So I was kind of like the one on duty at night. If anything went down, I had to take care of it. Um, Basically, another GA without being a GA. And then not only on campus rec, but my fifth year, I was working those two jobs on top of working overnight like 3 times, 4 times a week at Myers doing overnight stocking. So I'd go straight from my 8 to midnight shift at the JC to working overnight at Meyer from like midnight to 7 o'clock, get back home, and I had an 8 a.m. right after. And I did that for a whole semester, and that was insane. I don't know how I did that too.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, how the heck did you pull that off? Because I feel like I had 8 a.m. stats, and I would go to bed at 9 p.m. and I'd still look at my alarm clock at 7 a.m. and be like, "Nah, I'm skipping this recitation."
I honestly don't know, but greatest thing I did, I ended up with a 4.0 that semester too. So I don't know how, but it happened.
How many hours were you taking?
I think I was taking like 14,
Okay.
16, something like that.
Still a good amount with all
Yeah, yeah,
your work
yeah.
schedule and everything. Like
I was
it don't
also
matter if you're taking
shadowing
a
at
minimum.
I was shadowing at Lexcath whenever I could too. So I was just busy 24/7.
Like I said, you're all over the place. You're a hustler.
Yeah, I try.
So going from there, talk about you mentioned earlier that you had no idea what an athletic trainer was. You got out of engineering, you switched over to kinesiology. You're doing these observation hours over at Lexington Catholic. What was that moment where you're like, "Hey, I want to be an athletic trainer"?
I was okay, so I remember this vividly actually. Um I was working with Barb, who was the athletic trainer at the time. OG, like super old school. She loved her job. Um, we were sitting in our little like cubby at LexCath where we would hang out during games and stuff like that. And we were just watching soccer all day. And like kids would come up to us, like they get their treatments, they get taped up and stuff like that. And I was like, this is actually a lot of fun. Like
Mm,
I thoroughly enjoy this. Like this is something that I think I was looking for the whole time. Um, because like in intramurals, you do like basic first aid, like someone scrapes their knee, I put a band-aid on it, whatever. Um, but just to be able to go into deeper into that, like I realized I could do a lot more as an athletic trainer than I could as like a PT or a strength coach or what I wanted to do in biomedical engineering. But it was truly more of what I wanted to do, and it just clicked. Like I remember like looking at Barb, and I'm like, this is so cool. Like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
mm,
No, I feel that. I was very similar in your kind of way where I was working a little bit with UK with their undergrad student aid program, kind of working out with that. Originally, when I went in, I was like, I want to be a sports med doc. And then I took chemistry. I was like, yeah, I ain't cut out for this. And that was only Chem 1. I was like,
yeah.
forget that. And then I was like, well, maybe physical therapy. And then I was like, well, physical therapy requires the same chem. So then finally just bouncing around, like I didn't figure out till late into my junior year of like, hey, I want to be an athletic trainer just from talking to my preceptors and who I consider mentors to these days. So I kind of have a similar instance where I'm just like, hey, I love doing this. It doesn't even feel like work half the time. And I'm
Mm,
actually putting in a lot of effort to actually help these kids and these athletes get to where they want to be in life. So I'm glad me and you are kind of on the same wavelength, Chris.
Yeah, and it was cool too because I had emailed every high school and even UK about doing shadowing hours. Well, first of all, because I needed them for my practicum, but because I just wanted to do it too, just in general. And she was actually the only one that responded, and I got so
Really?
lucky. So if it weren't for Barb and responding to my email, I probably wouldn't even be here right now.
That's
mm.
crazy that no one else reached out or like even emailed you back and was like, no, sorry, we can't.
Yeah, I remember UK. They were like, "Well, it's mostly just for freshmen that are starting out, but if you want to, you can fill out the application." But I was like, "All right, cool,
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah.
And Barb responded thankfully. So
Yeah.
without her, I wouldn't be here.
Shout out
That's
Barb.
that's
But
good.
going from there, like you started in Lex, you moved over up the road up to Richmond, did your masters there. What in the world brought you to be like, hey, I'm moving everything that I have out to Arizona for what was it, your first or second job? Did you work at a high school in Louisville before you went to Arizona?
Yeah, so I worked at Doss High School in Louisville
That's right.
for like a year and
Mhm.
a half before I moved out to Arizona. Um, so actually, funny story. Uh, so I was with Phoenix Rising as a student in grad school. So I'd already been out in Arizona. My two bosses there at the time, one of them had actually texted me. He's like, "Hey, just so you know, one of my friends out here, he's looking for an assistant for an indoor football team." And I told him, "I don't know, Brennan. Like, football's kind of not my thing. Like, I already said I kind of don't want to work football ever." And he's like, "All right, like, no skin off my back. Like it's whatever. I was just asking just to make sure. So it turns out his friend was my other boss, and he just didn't tell me that. Um, he's like, "Oh yeah, you were here when he was here," and I was like, "Yeah, I was." But so my other boss, Steven, he hits me up, and he's like, "Hey, I have a job opportunity. Do you want to take it? We'll get you through the interview process. I kind of need someone fast, and you're kind of like the only one I could think of." And I said, "All right, like I'll go through the process," because at the time I was going through interviews for MLS jobs, and a lot of times I got told no because I just don't have that much experience, whether it be in pro sports or the level they were looking for. And I was like, I've just been working out of high school for about a year and a half. Like, I just been doing this because I figured somebody might give me a shot. Well, my old boss gives me the shot. I go through the interview process. I get the job. I initially didn't want to take it because I was doing really good things at the high school I was at. Um, they were, I mean, when I first got to the high school, they didn't have like anything. They had like 3 boxes of tape, a closet for a training room, like one ankle weight, like, and that was it. But slowly but surely, I built up. I had ended up with 2 training rooms, 2 different tables in each one. Uh, all the equipment you might need at a high school, like tens unit. I had a bunch of rehab stuff, bands. Like I built that place up from nothing. So I was like, I want to keep this going. And I was involved in the state organization too, like CATS, art stuff, doing there with different committees. And I was like, I don't know if I want to leave Kentucky just yet. But my girlfriend at the time, she was like, no, like I really want to move to Arizona. Like I'm gonna go out there for my clinical too, because she was in PT school at the time, and she was gonna do her rotation out in Arizona anyways. So the more I thought about it, the more it was probably a good idea to go out there and get some experience in professional sports. Because honestly, I didn't know where like working out of high school for so long was going to take me to get my goals.
Hmm.
Um, so I said, screw it. I got the job. I took it, and we decided to move all the way out to Phoenix, Arizona, um, just to work professional indoor football with the Arizona Rattlers. Um, but yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, but I was out there on my own for the first few months before she came out here. But yeah, I was living in a nice studio apartment in Tempe, Arizona. It was a blast.
Nice. How was you say it was indoor or arena? I don't know the difference.
Uh, they're technically the same thing. You
Okay.
play football inside,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. How was it?
indoor football just has a little different rules uh, on kicking, and that was basically
Uh
it. Yeah. Arena football has like these crazy net systems. There's like 5 different zones you can hit, and like indoor football is just the one single goalpost. You just hit it through.
I never knew that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's different. Did you enjoy
Yeah.
it though?
So this is the way I love to describe it. I loved every second of it, but I never do that again.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Football is
blame you.
just a whole different beast, especially indoor football.
Hmm.
Too many injuries.
Yeah, a lot. Like first game, like I remember we're in the Footprint Center, which is where the Suns play. So like environment's crazy. Like this is an established team. Like it's
Yeah.
sold out first game. Like it's wild. I didn't imagine anything like this. And then running back goes in for a touchdown. He doesn't get up, and like apparently his like whole knee exploded. And I'm like, oh my god, what did I get
Wow.
myself into? Like he had a fracture in his knee, tore a couple ligaments, and I was like, Jesus, this is first game. And I'm like, if it's gonna be like this the rest of the season, I'm cooked.
That's different.
Were you freaking out?
I wasn't freaking out at the time because I didn't deal with the evaluation or anything like that. My
Okay,
boss did all
okay.
that.
Hmm.
But I just remember being on the sideline trying to deal with everyone's like bloody shoulders, bloody
Yeah.
elbows, like bloody knees because they're not used to the turf yet. So I'm just like trying to clean everybody up. Someone dislocated a finger. I'm trying to put it back in. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it was
football's a
crazy.
different beast. I keep trying to tell these guys, ever since I kind of bounced around to every location, even working freaking high school football now. It's we were playing a JV game 3 4 weeks ago, and there was a almost a fight after every single play. I'm like, Lord, please don't allow anyone to get hurt tonight because I ain't trying to deal with all that. Which I think
Mm.
eventually that was a game we came away with. A kid broke his thumb, and I think that was it. But we've had a couple big injuries just in a high school setting, a couple fractures here and there, and it's just like I hate working football. I never want to do it ever again. I'd rather work something less injury traumatic like basketball, something super easy. Even soccer, high school soccer can get super dangerous too, but I could never go back to the football setting.
Is it just because the volume of injuries? Because I'm assuming you get injured in every sport, but is it just because it's to me? And one, you got a lot of players in football too, so the volume of it is what kind of makes y'all like I want to stay away from it.
The like volume and the severity of a lot of the injuries, because
Okay,
like over the season, everyone gets banged up. You're literally just running into each other as hard as you can, especially like grown men.
yeah,
But like just having to heal that up, and then on top of like guys absolutely destroying like their body, it's insane.
Yeah. And plus like you especially in football, you got to worry about the helmets and the pads and like if someone potentially hurts their neck to where you got to bring out the stretcher, bring out the spine board, like you got to
mm,
make sure you do like every little thing correctly or else that's a lawsuit on your hand too. And especially like at my school, we only have on our varsity roster maybe 40 kids and a lot of them play like both sides. So with
mm,
those 40 kids, if one person gets hurt, then you and your coach are kind of scrambling to figure out what they're going to do for the lineup, how you can keep them healthy, how you can get them back in, and all that stuff. So yeah, like it's a lot of it's the durability, and you just going in and basically hitting a person every time. Where if you hit someone in basketball nowadays, even if you breathe on someone on basketball, it's a foul. So you can't even get close to that. But yeah, to wrap up your question, yeah, I would say it was that.
that makes sense. Like so, Chris, from all the sports you was able to train in and be an athletic trainer, like which sport is your favorite so far?
Soccer. I
Mm,
mean, soccer's kind of been the goal since day one, to be honest.
yeah,
But really close second, basketball has always been up there too. Just being from Kentucky and loving basketball so much. And honestly, like those two environments are something completely different. Like
right.
playing soccer on a nice, like cool 7 o'clock night under the lights and having like a good fan base behind you is always so much fun. Um,
Mm,
and then just basketball is a whole different beast being inside. And if you're inside a loud gym, you got good ball players, there's nothing better than that.
that's interesting. Nah, that's pretty dope. Well, moving into that, right? Like, obviously, life brought you back to Kentucky. So, how's working at the Lexington Sports Club so far?
It's been a lot. I'm not gonna lie. The youth program we have is an absolute beast. We have like 1,000 kids out there every
Mm,
week. So we have like 4 or 5 teams practicing on one field, like little kids running around. But it's been a lot of fun. I get to deal with like 6 to 7 year olds where I'm just like, here's a band aid, and it instantly heals them of anything they have ever felt before in their lives. Up to like academy kids, like these are the under 20s. Um, these are supposed to be the next guys up,
mm,
and you know, using that as a teaching moment for them because a lot of them, you know, they come from high schools where a lot of the time like football is the main priority,
yep,
so they don't get like too much treatment, they don't get too much rehab, um, but just being that extra resource to them, to introducing them that higher level stuff like that I've learned through the years. But it's been a lot of fun. I get to do some stuff with the pro teams every now and then. Today,
mm,
like I did a reserve training with the women. So like all the people that stayed behind from the away trip, they do extra trainings, and I get to help out with that. I go in and help out with trainings all the time. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Um, Still settling in, knowing what I can and can't do. But I can just keep going until they tell me not to, right?
mm. How specific is the preparation for like you and your team for like let's say it's the pro team? How specific is like the preparation for you all when they have injuries or they're getting back into the groove of things, or even if they don't have injuries, and you all just preparing them, like wrapping them up, taping them for them to get into the game. Like, what is the detail? What's the level of detail you all have to go through with, the players? Is it a one-on-one talking with them and wrapping things up, or is it more so is a collective agreement with with your peers and your coworkers? Then y'all are segmented with who exactly you need to, obviously get assigned to, or like how is that? I don't know. So I want to ask, like, what is that process like? Is it individual? Is it a team thing? And how is the preparation and attention to detail where you actually got to speak to them about certain things if you have to, or maybe you don't, before they actually go into the game?
Well, at least on my side with the academy kids, I really try to take all their like personal preferences into consideration. Like,
Mm,
I don't think I've taped anybody the same twice in the time I've been here. Um, just because some days, like soccer players may not want their full ankle taped, or they might not want the white tape. They'll just want the stretchy tape, or they have
mm,
1,000 blisters I have to cover up and somehow still fit their cleat inside or their foot inside their cleat. Um, so it's a lot of just like doing stuff on the fly and like knowing what's going to work best for them, checking up on them. Um, like thankfully right now my academy team has been pretty healthy. Just some bangs and bruises here now and then. But it's also difficult because they don't really get training room time. Like my training room is my golf cart. Um,
mm,
but uh, it's been nice. Like I really had to depend on them doing their stuff at home. But just like on a game day though, it's like a whole different beast, right? Uh, Usually I set up inside our locker room, which is just our concession stand that hasn't opened yet. Uh, but every one of those kids needs something different. You know,
right.
so just going through that. Like I recently just introduced them to cupping. They think it's the best thing in the world, but now I got to teach them. Hey, this is when you're supposed to use it. This is when you're not supposed to use it. Like, uh, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have to move this cup because pregame, like, that's what it's used for. Like, we gotta warm up that tissue. We gotta keep it moving. Like, if I just
Mm,
leave it on there, like, that's not gonna do much for you during this game. So I was just kind of thinking about the like mental things there, like when to use things, when not to use things, and teaching the kids about that too, because they don't know. Like, this is the first time they've seen anything stuff like this. Like,
wow.
I scraped one kid and he thought I was gonna absolutely destroy his muscles. And I'm like, no, I don't like need to scrape you that hard. Like if I'm leaving bruises on you while I'm scraping you, I'm doing something wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Mm,
So it's just every day it's like in any sport, you know? You have to figure out who your opponent is and how to beat them. And I just do that
mm.
with all the different tools I have.
That's amazing. What's like your long term vision of I want to be at this position or this level in like 5 to 10 years, or where my ultimate goal is for career rise? Or have you arrived already? Do you feel like that now, or is there somewhere else you still want to obviously train and grow into?
Yeah, I think at some point I would love to be the head athletic trainer at a pro soccer team. I
Mm,
think that's the goal at the end of the day. That's why I do all these things that I do. Like while I was at a NAIA school, I went to the MLS Medical Symposium, and that's kind of what led me to get this job.
okay.
Just connecting with people and getting to know them and getting to learn from them, and like really learning, you know, when I do get there, like what it's going to look like. But I also appreciate where I'm at now, and I don't want to look at it like a stepping stone job either. I'm trying to do the best job I can in this
Yeah,
current position, and I got to act like I'm going to be here for like 4 or 5, 10 years. So that's how I kind of look at things. But even with that goal in mind, I would love to at some point teach. Like I would love to be a professor at an AT program. That's kind of why I'm getting my doctorate too. Not only to just get better at my job, but hopefully one day teach a class at UK and give back to the profession that kind of gave me a lot of cool things to do.
that's amazing.
Yeah, no, Chris, when I saw you were getting your doctors, I was like, yeah, of course he is. That man can't sit still. He's got to be doing something, right? Bouncing around from each soccer field, doing school. How do you balance it all? I guess that's my next question.
Um, I don't really know, to be honest. I just fit in things whenever I have time. Um, like there's certain days where my two neediest academy teams are practicing in the same block, so I get them over with, and then I
Mm,
have like an hour and a half to just sit down, write my notes, do any homework I have to do. And luckily, my program is super understanding, obviously, because they all know what we do. So they give us all the support that we need, which has been super great, like super great. Um, so I never really struggle with having to turn in my assignment on time. And even if I don't, they're super understanding. They're like, just turn it in as soon as you can. Um, but yeah, it is a struggle, especially when you move to a new position like I am now, and most of your afternoon is taken up. And if you're coming in to help out with the pro teams, your whole day is pretty much taken up. Like today, I worked 9 to 9. Like so, just being able to squeeze that little bit of homework in, which I have to do tomorrow, um, has been insane. But it's been good. I'm actually really excited to finish up in May. Um, but actually, funny thing, the one reason I tell people that I'm getting my doctorate is because my wife has hers, and my toxic
I knew you were gonna say
masculinity
that.
can't
I
handle
knew
that.
you were gonna say that.
I
I
just
hope
I
she's
just
not in
can't.
the. I hope she's not in next door right next to you listening.
No, she already went to bed. It's past her bedtime. Plus, she technically has more degrees than me, so I have to pass her up on that. You know.
Yeah, you got a one up on it.
Yeah, she's got 3, so I have to catch up.
man. What's the process of like getting a doctorate? Like, what is it? Because obviously, master's is more so like research and development. What is the assignments like for your doctorate? Is it more so? Is it papers as well, or is it like how does that coursework look?
So at AT Still, which is where I'm doing mine, it's a
Yeah.
little different, but it's kind of the same wherever you go. So I chose 2 different tracks that you can follow. I did the leadership one, and then
Mm,
I did the rehab one. So a lot of my courses for my leadership classes were, you know, read this book, and then we're gonna talk about it the whole semester and how to grow you as like an athletic trainer leader.
okay.
And then we like learned all about different types of management. So whenever I do step in a position where like I'm the boss, I have a better understanding of how to manage my team, how to uh, even if I'm a preceptor, like where I have a student under me, like it helped me tremendously to be able to teach
Mm,
them how to do their jobs and move on to the next level.
got
And
it.
like all my rehab courses have kind of made me just better at my job in general. Like it grads like my master's program gave me a great foundation to be able
Yeah.
to understand like some of the higher level stuff. And with my doctorate, that's where I'm at now. Like I have been able to grab like 4 or 5 different philosophies in rehab and just kind of combine it and make it my own. So now
Mm,
it's like my unique take to rehab, and I know mine is going to be completely different from, you know, the Ryan who's in the women's athletic training or who's on the women's team, or Peter and David who are in charge of the men's team. So now I can bring that different aspect to the team, and it's completely different. And then like the third part of my doctoral program is we have a research project. So
mm,
mine has shifted around a bit just because of different things that can happen, like IRB approval and uh, switching jobs, like right before I was supposed to start. But I'm working on my research project now, and it's more of a systematic review of how sleep affects athletes. Um,
okay.
I found out, like, through my new job now, like, these kids, they don't really sleep because they got homework, they got school, they got practice. Like, I don't even know when they find time to go to sleep, but it'll be really beneficial to know how that affects their life, whether they're grumpy at class or they're falling asleep in class, or how they're
Mm,
performing on the field. If they're tired, do they get injured more? So it'll be interesting to see where all that kind of takes me.
that's major. That's major. I would assume because the development of that. Now you think that it's now that you kind of put that in words, I'm like, dang, do they? How do they find the sleep? because obviously they got they got to hit all these requirements, and it's interesting because even for a normal student that's just not in athletics, you're still doing so much, and you kind of find time to sleep, but it's if you have depending on how many hours in your course load, you still kind of be like, I gotta do this. I gotta do this type of work. I gotta study for this test. I gotta write this paper. And it's super. And if you got a job, you got a job you got to go to. So it's always something interesting to find how students find their way through classes in general and through the years to even get the degree. And I can see why like the rates of some schools are further down than others. Right? It's just because maybe the system is not set up successfully or just trying to have the right people involved to be able to schedule you around and kind of navigate you how you can get through year to year. So that's very interesting that you're kind of going through that and then analyzing those things and really stepping it back and be like, okay, well this may be the reason or this may not be the reason, but I'm gonna find out and have like a more detailed approach of what it is to try to create a solution. So that's pretty unique that you're actually doing that, and that's pretty cool.
And then you got to play Fortnite for at least 2 hours before
You
going
gotta
to
play
bed, right?
Fortnite.
Got to. Can't
Gotta
forget
do that.
that. That's the most important thing.
Man.
But Chris, man, after all the long nights, the hard work, the dedication, the grind,
Yep.
my question to you is, would you do it all over again to get to where you're at today?
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's all been worth it. Like it's crazy to me. Like I come from, you know, my neighbor was a crackhead. Like he would steal stuff from us all the time. Like I grew up in like not the greatest neighborhood ever. Like I'd say it was like ghetto adjacent. Like it was still the hood, but like we weren't down bad. Like I grew up on food stamps. I was on Passport, the Medicare program. Like I was on scholarship at all my schools. In high school, I even worked over the summer to kind of bring my tuition bill down. Uh, and my parents worked really hard to get me where I am today. And even if I was still working at Doss High School, I'd still say it all paid off. I have
Mm.
a great job, great wife. Like I live in Hamburg now. Like when I was in UK, I never thought this was possible. Like
Heck no.
the further
Hamburg's expensive now too.
it is, like I go out running and I run past like $1.5 million home, and I'm like, that's insane to me.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Like to where I've been and to where I've gotten, it's night and day. And I don't think a lot of people realize that when I show up to work every day. They're like, "Oh, you're here every day. Like this must suck." And I'm like, "Yeah, it sucks, but it's a lot better than where I would be, you know?"
True. I guess with that being said, like, is there any piece of advice that you wish you could give your younger self or someone who's also in the same situation as you growing up and wanting to be an athletic trainer or just going through those moments of I got to grind to put money for my tuition, whatever it is? Any piece of advice for those listening to right now?
Ask for help.
It's
Like
really
I
tough.
thought I had to do it all on my own. Like I had the pressure of being the first one to do it all. Like I didn't think I had any support from anywhere, but like little did I know, like there were people helping me out all the time, looking out for me. And even if it's like I would ask my grandma to cook food for me on the weekends when I got home, and she'd do it all the time. Or you know, can I just hang out with you today? Like I just kind of need it. It's been a rough day. Like I'd hang out with my friends all
That's
the time.
crazy.
Like just those little things, just
My
asking for that
fault.
little bit from people helps out so much. And it wasn't until it was a little too late to kind of realize that. Like I think maybe if I realized that a little bit longer, I would have stuck to engineering. I just hated it because I sucked at it. I'm not gonna lie. Like my
Yeah,
best friend, he got a 36 on his ACT. He was in engineering too, so I just copy off of him all the time. But you know, it's the biggest thing that I've learned throughout the years. Like just ask for help. Like right now, I'm working like 7 days a week. Like I don't even know how many hours. And if there's ever a day where like I truly need a day off, I I'm not afraid to ask for it anymore because
Yeah,
I know at
I
the end of the day,
wanted
it's
to
just gonna
jump
hurt
on
me if
that,
I keep
man.
going.
Yeah, I wanted to jump on that
Facts.
because not
That's
not
real.
not too many people say that,
So
man.
yeah,
Whenever
my
you
biggest piece of
say,
advice
man,
is
give a
ask
piece
for
of advice
help.
to somebody out there,
Somebody
they
will give
usually
it
be
to
like,
you.
man, work hard, do this, do that, do that. Like stay in your books, da, da, da. I mean, obviously that's stuff that you want to do, but asking for help is something that's real big. Like people probably gonna look over there, like, man, it's not. You're never too big to ask for help, even if you feel like you got it or you don't have it at all, man. Just ask for that help. Never just try to do it on your own, because it's always, like you said, it's always somebody out there that's willing to help and able to help. So it's no reason for you not to ask for help. But that was big, man, when you said that, because not too many people say that whenever they ask you,
Yeah.
like, what's your advice you give to the youth? Like, you'll never tell nobody to ask for help. Like, damn, you can't do it on your own. That's the first thing people always try to say. You can't do it on your own. Nah, man, it ain't about that. It's just about knowing when you need a little bit of extra help there or here. You know what I'm saying? Just because, like you said, you're mental. Like, I want to hang out with you guys for the day. I'm gonna play the game, whatever the case may be. Like something to get your mental right and things of that nature. So yeah, that's big, man. That's big.
Yeah, and like knowing that now, like I look for those opportunities to help others. Like
Mm,
with my academy kids right now, a few of them are off to college soon. I'm like, hey, have you filled out your FAFSA? Do you know how to? Do you need help with it? Like even just those little things, like just checking up on people, um, is like huge. Like I did it with my students that I had as a preceptor. I was like, what do you need help with? Like I'm not afraid. Like even if I don't know the answer, like we'll figure it out.
yeah.
Facts. That's what I always told my students or anyone working below me. I was like, there's no such thing as a stupid question unless you ask me what color the sky is. And even then, it could be a different answer depending on how the weather is. But I was like, last thing I want you to do is mess up and make a mistake when you can easily just ask me for help or ask me a question on how to do this and we could have solved it right then and there. So yeah, I like that. What you said, Chris. Same thing
Yeah.
with you, Siege. I guess just a question for the table before we kind of wrap up is why do you think it's so hard for people these days to ask for help or ask someone for guidance or just anything along that? I think that was the biggest part for me is when I was going through undergrad, like I was the same way. Like I hated asking for help until I realized asking for help will help me stop beating my head against the wall and actually become beneficial for you or for me. So do you guys have any input on that or
I'm yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I
I mean,
for
go
me,
ahead,
I
Chris.
just say it's a pride thing. Like there is times where I'm that way. Like I don't want to ask for help, man. I'm gonna try to figure it out on my own. But then there's times like like
Mm,
back when I was in school, I asked my mom for stuff. Like at the last second, she'd be like, "Why you always asking at the last second? Why you can't just ask beforehand?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm trying to figure it out on my own first before I get to you, because I don't want to feel like a burden." And she's like, "You're not a burden. You just need to ask for help, so that way you ain't stressing yourself out trying to get stuff done." So it's like I always been that way to where I try to do it on my own, but like asking for help, I don't know why people just don't ask for help. Like you said, man, sometimes be like you be thinking like, "Yeah, I got it," and then you don't have it, but you too far into it to even ask for help. Now you like, dang, should I ask for help? Like you said, it ain't a stupid question, but you asking this question that you should have already asked. Now you feeling some type of way about asking for help now, because you like, man, I could have been asked this
yep.
dude this question. He been trying to give me the answer. Now I'm finna ask him. Now it's finna feel like this, that, and the third. Now you definitely don't want to ask the question, but at this point, you gotta ask for help. You know what I'm saying? When you're on your last leg, but I mean, like you said, it's a
I
pride
like
thing,
that.
for real, to
I
be
agree.
honest.
that's interesting. I think, how can I word this? I believe it's conditioning, depending on how you grow up, right? I believe majority of America is going to public schools in high school, middle school, elementary school, stuff like that, right? And I believe the systems that are created for school nowadays and has been over past 20 something odd years and more is more so of creating students to be great workers and not like good societal people. And you're studying these tests, but the teacher's like, hey, don't communicate with the other person, let them figure out what the answer is. I don't care if you got the answer or not. And it kind of isolates you of, dang, I got to study all by myself. It kind of takes the fun out of studying.
Yeah,
And then if you don't know, it's like, why am I not asking for, like Langston? No, I don't be knowing the answers a lot of times. I'm in high school, so I was asking him, like, what's the answer? And he's
That's true.
like, am I
That's true.
considered somebody? It's like, I'm not shy about asking for help because it don't make sense. It don't make sense for me to not know the answer. This guy right next to me knows the answer, and I'm about to sit here and go do another 8 hour by myself to go try to figure out by myself, and I still may not even know. And or if I do know, I might not even get the concept. So like, what's the purpose of me trying to just act like, oh, hey, don't matter. I'm gonna figure. Like, no, I'm not. I've never really been that type of person, and I think it's just a conditioning thing because once you get to a level of once you go through middle school, high school that way, you get to college in the same way. You realize college is 20 times worse when you don't know the answers. So you really, running with your head cut off. And then you get to a job and then you're still doing the same thing. It's like, yeah, you got other people on your team that they may know the answer, right? But you don't want to communicate with them. They're looking at you like, well, I mean, he ain't gonna ask me. So it's kind of those odd men out thing. Obviously, I'm not sure how private schools are set up. I'm not sure how more, obviously, prestigious schools are set up. It may not be like that. It may be more on collaboration. But for schools, society wise, it's just set up for you to feel like asking for help is the wrong thing to do. And it's really not. Because how can we operate as we start a business? We start this business together, right? Like, I'm not doing anything by myself. It don't make sense. If I don't know the answer, Langston might know, C's gonna know, somebody on the team's gonna know it, or if we don't, we all figure it out collectively. It doesn't make sense for us to be isolated. The world don't work that way. So for us to be conditioned at a young age to now get to adulthood and realize, oh, we've been working backwards the whole time as humans is is kind of a messy thing. And it could just be where we, what I'm saying, depending on what demographic you at and where you at in life or whatever. But most public schools are set up that way. And in this unfortunate situation to learn those things for 18 years and then try to relearn those things and unlearn those things to learn something new. And I think that's where really a lot of it comes from. And people think like she says pride, but it might not even be pride. It's just like unaware. And now that you feel that way, it's like, oh, I'm gonna still keep going this way. But I know we went on a basketball course. He's like, man, you see what Rondo did. You see what Chris Paul did. You see what James Harden did. Like, how did I might walk in the gym? Do like you ain't shot to ask them a question on that. So it's kind of those
Yeah.
same situations and scenarios. Like whatever you believe in, if you got to get through something, it doesn't make sense for you to learn everything by yourself because you're not even going to apply all the things you learn in real world by yourself. So I believe that's primarily why sometimes people don't ask for help. It's just they're unaware of what the situation is.
Yeah, at least like from my end, like growing up the oldest out of all my cousins, like I was one of the smarter kids in the family. Like I was the golden boy, I was supposed to have it all figured out. Like, you know, he doesn't need help. The help went to my sisters who needed a little bit more help in school,
Yeah,
or my cousins who
Correct.
were even more poor than we were. Like they needed the extra help from my grandparents. Like my aunt needed them to babysit, whatever. Like from my point of view, like a lot of other kids who grew up in my situation and my culture, like that's the reality for them. Like
yeah,
we're the kids that the golden kids that people don't have to worry about. So when that gets into my head, I'm like, dude, like I should be able to figure this out. Like
yeah,
people depend on me to figure this out. Like it's,
Yep.
Putting
yeah,
extra
like there's a
pressure on
huge
yourself.
pressure on yourself to be able to be the one to step up. It's like being a star player. Like everyone expects you to figure it out. Like go score that goal, go score that touchdown. Like you're supposed to be able to do it, right? But at the end of the day, someone's got to throw you that ball. Someone's got to pass you the ball. Like
that's
someone's got
true.
to tell you to shoot, look up. But growing up as like 17-year-old kid starting off at college, I had no idea. Like it was just so much pressure on me to do well. Like I was supposed to be an engineer by the time I graduated 4 years, like, get a 6-figure job. Like I thought I was going to be making 150K coming out of college. Like
It's real
that didn't
talk.
happen at all. But,
I wish.
but
Oh, yeah, real.
yeah, with the amount of work that I'm putting in, I wish, yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
But just being that stereotype in like the Hispanic household, I know there's so many other kids like me. Like TikTok has helped me so much realize that in the last few years. Like I see other kids who've been put through the exact same thing, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my god, like that's me. Like I was the kid that everyone relied on. I was the kid that no one had to worry about. Like I grew up not having a room. Like I slept on the couch because I was like, don't worry about me. Like it's fine. Let my
Mhm.
sisters have the room. Like there's 3 of them, and I'm just one guy. Like let me sleep on the couch. It'll be fine. Because just having all that pressure on you, you think you don't
Damn.
need the help. You think You're the one that's got to get it done. Like, but at the end of the day, like everyone needs help, and
Everybody
that's how
needs.
you achieve great things, right, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, everybody need it.
Nah, facts, facts.
It's a fact. No, that's a great tribute to that because you never know out here, and those people, as you say, the golden kids, childs, like they may need it more. Obviously, you feel like you don't need it more because you don't have to worry about them, but you really got to keep an eye on the ones that you kind of uplift and you put more pressure on because they got to carry all that load on their back. You don't know how, we don't really know how heavy it gets. We just keep throwing it at them. We don't know how heavy it's getting. It can go 5 pounds all the way to 1,000 or more. So I think those people are really like yourself. Those people would definitely obviously clap your hands because it's kudos because for you to be brave enough to even want to take that challenge, to know there's something in you to even go through that journey. It's important, and obviously you still going through them growth phases because you just want more for yourself and your family. So that's just always going to be a congratulations to yourself because that's just speaks on the character of you. Not everybody can do that, and everybody wants to do that. So the fact that you want to do it is not even like not even fathomable to be even to coexist with those people. There's people like you, and there's people that just aren't, and that's why you can continue to find new ways and re-innovate yourself and reinvest time into you and your family, and why you can continue to win. And we want to always support that. So we definitely appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that, and hopefully we get to reach more people that feel the same way, and they can learn from your journey and your story, and they can make sure that they get to the next side because they know you did it too.
Mike, you want to go ahead and introduce us or take us away to the word of the week?
Yeah. So obviously, like we said in the beginning of the show, the word of the week is achievement. Chris, thanks for being on. But we want to kind of ask, what is achievement? Actually, I mean, you've done so much. So obviously, over all the things you've done, being the first to obviously go to college and then get your master's. Now you're getting a doctorate. Like, what has achievement meant to you on all these phases of your journey, and like, what does it mean right now about where you're at? Because obviously, you came so far.
Yeah, growing up, like achievement for me was like getting straight A's. Like it was
Mm,
all the big things. Getting into college, getting that huge scholarship, scoring the game-winning goal. Like that was achievement to me. But as the years go by, it's definitely changed a lot more. Like achievement to me isn't necessarily like you know landing this job. Like that wasn't an achievement. It was an expectation for myself because I was like, this is the
mm,
goal. Like this is what I need to get. But the achievement would be, I live in a 3 bedroom house now. Like that's a huge achievement.
yeah.
Like I didn't think that was going to be possible growing up. I'm married to my beautiful wife. We have 2 great dogs. Like they're crazy. You know.
Congratulations on that.
Um, yeah. Um, like achievement isn't just the big things; it's all the little things. Like I turned
Yeah.
in my homework on time today. Um, I stayed up past 10:30 because I wanted to hang out with my friends. Most of the times I'm too exhausted. I'm passed out by like 10 o'clock. Um, but yeah, it's more than just the big things. Asking for help, that's a huge achievement of myself.
Yeah.
Um, Achievement isn't just the big things. It's all the little things. It's all the cool things that you get to do. Um, yeah, it's not all about the trophies. It's about the experience too.
No, I like that.
Now that's a fact, man. That's a fact. I want to touch on achievement too, man, because like him saying the little things, man, that just makes me think about
Yeah.
my kids, man, and how like anytime I see them do something, like it just like brings a smile to my face, damn near a tear to my eye whenever I see them like doing something for the first time or saying something or like actually listening and doing what I'm asking them to do. Like whenever, like sometimes I ask them to bring me something and they be looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" And nowadays they'll go and get it and bring it right, and then and whenever they're asking for stuff and like the little things, like you said, man, not really the big things for me right now, because they haven't gotten all that fine motor skills, but like the little things for me is just like seeing them do any little possible thing that just makes them smile and be like, dang man, you really like doing that? Like and then like this morning, like for example, this morning, like my daughter, like on the couch we had like a little cover and some pillows. She got a little baby doll. She brought it over there, like out of nowhere. I'm just watching her. She bring her little baby doll, lay her down, put the cover on her, and bring her the bottle. Like she was putting her little baby doll to bed or for a nap or something. And I was just like, why are you doing like we do that to you? Why are you doing that to your baby? So it's like one those little things, those little achievements of her just like knowing like to put something to bed. Like she know like put something to bed. The bottle go with the bed. Like that's something that she's like processing. So like those little things really get to me
That's big.
for sure.
That's big. Now, I know that. I know for you, it's always
Yeah.
it's a growth thing for obviously every day. So I know you get to see, experience all that, and it's bringing. And I'm sure it's making you a better person. So that's always the goal of having kids. You
Yeah.
know, you get to see yourself within them, and you get to see all their habits and what they like to do, what they don't like to do, and how they differ from you in certain aspects of it. And I know it's a super honor and privilege for you to be a father. So man, salute to that, and salute to everybody else that has those experiences with their children too. So achievement is big, man. I think anything with achievement is just growth over time. I think that's how I look at it at this point now. Like you said, it used to be like material things. It used to be anything that I wanted, like that's unattainable, but I fixate my mind to just try to make it happen. And sometimes I do make it, and sometimes I don't. But now it's just more so just growth, because that's at the end of the day, we're just here to become better people. And now that I'm centered on that, it's about how many people can I connect with, and how many people can I help add value to, and how many people can I help grow, as well as grow myself. And I think that's an achievement for me. And I think that's going to be able to carry me through the rest of my years while I'm here on Earth, because it's just that simple concept allows me just to put my best foot forward. So whenever I get to achieve, it's just having better human connections with more humans. So um, again, Chris, man, thank you for taking the time to chop it up with us and be on the show. We're super excited to have you on, and we obviously really like this episode, and hopefully a lot of people get to have the same excitement that we did. But we want to continue to follow your journey. We want to continue to support you. So where can we follow you on your social medias to continue to support?
All right, so don't make fun of me, but I made up this handle when I was in 8th grade. All right, it was my first email. All right, you can follow me on Twitter, not X.
There
Shout
you
out
go.
to TKD.
There you go.
Um,
No shout outs for that guy.
Nah, I
he's
got
probably not
you.
here because he's a little musty.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, the Latino Taco. So THE Latino Taco.
Yeah,
Uh,
that sounds like something from 8th grade for sure.
you know, and absolutely, I loved it. Growing up in high school and kept it in college, and everyone thinks it's funny, but I think it's one of the few things I'm able to hold on to that doesn't have a 1, 2, or 3 at the end of it.
That's
So
crazy. So is that a personal email? Like you use that for jobs and stuff too?
no, I didn't use it for jobs. That was just the message my friends, because I didn't have a phone back in the day, so I had to email all my friends.
What?
Easy, easy.
I had a track phone growing up. Like it was 10 cents per text. It only
Oh,
worked
okay.
in my zip code for some reason. I don't even know why.
Mm,
Like I had to go to the Dollar General to reload my phone every now and
Oh
then.
my god,
going through it.
that's funny, man. That's funny.
Yeah, and now I
Jeez,
got like $1,000 phone in my pocket. Crazy.
Do the same
crazy.
thing. Do the same thing you was doing back then.
Yeah,
Just a lot more money.
and I will say my greatest achievement has been getting on this podcast. So thanks for
Mm.
having me on.
No, we appreciate you. We appreciate that.
It's your boy, man. Dear Siege, man. Hey, Dear Siege on everything. Dear Siege on TikTok, Twitter, IG. No more Snapchat and no Facebook because my mama on there. I can't do it, man. My mama, she get the comment and stuff, and then I just can't do it. But other than that, man, it's your boy. Oh, and follow not follow mine, but follow my boys' gaming pages, man, at TKD2 Gaming and at LeBrankston Gaming, man. Follow them boys, man.
Yes,
They
sir.
doing it.
LeBrank, shout out to social, brother.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, again, Chris, thanks for coming on the show. Like I said, he's really been an OG, which I didn't even realize you listened to my older podcast back in the day. So you're really an OG. And
Support, man.
even last week, I was at dear Michael's house, and he was like, "Oh man, we got a comment on our last podcast." And he goes, "You know what? It's probably Latino Taco. Like he's always commenting on everything." He's like, "Who is this guy?" I was like, "Oh, that's my boy Chris." And he's like, "Yeah, let's get him on the show." So
Facts.
Chris, thanks for being an OG. Thanks for hopping on this podcast. I had a lot of fun with it. My socials are LeBrankston on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. follow all my gaming stuff on LeBrankston.gaming on TikTok and on Instagram too. Make sure to go follow the Twitch at LeBrankston. I'm actually about to go live stream new Call of Duty. It's gonna drop in an hour and 19 minutes as we record at 10:41. So as soon as that drops at midnight, I'm gonna go play it for about 3 hours, go to sleep for a little bit, and then wake up and go to a staff meeting at 10 a.m. and go get my flu shot. So, man, y'all just go follow the grind. It's a big grind ahead of us.
See, I was gonna get my flu shot too, but I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday, so I'm gonna just get it done then.
Yeah, just get done then.
That way I don't got to see any of you guys.
Wow. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I don't
I don't
blame
want to see
you.
myself either.
See, I don't associate myself with the high school people, you know? Only LSC.
Wow.
Oh, whoa, you
I
got
know. I
bougie on you,
remember that,
Link.
Chris. I remember that. Yeah, look, we just gonna have to scratch this episode right here, Mike.
Putting backlog.
Yeah.
You can follow us, man, at the Dear Radio Show on all platforms. We're about to make a TikTok. Don't know why I haven't started that already, but we'll be creating that. We've obviously been doing some tremendous things, having some great guests on. We've been obviously just trying to get better as a team. So hopefully you all are seeing the growth with us as we're preparing for better strides into the new seasons that we're currently creating. Again, it's Dear Radio Show. You can follow my fashion page at Dear Michael, which is MYKEL. Yeah, man, it's been an exciting time for us. Also, we do have a dial tone. Let me make sure I understand. I don't have the number by my heart by
Yeah,
memory.
I
But
got you. I got you.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah. That's on me for forgetting that. It's mostly because the phone's just been blowing up. We got so many voicemails. It's been very limited. But y'all can go call us and leave us a beautiful message at 859-363-5365. Again, like I always say, you're going to hear a long dial tone there. You're going to hear my beautiful voice. And leave us a message about what your favorite episode was, who your favorite guest was, what if you have any questions for any of us, and we'll answer it on the show or on social media. So sorry about that, dear Michael. It'll never happen again, boss man.
I appreciate you, man. You know, we gotta check in. But yeah, so we've been able to do that, man. Let's get some good responses. Everybody follow Chris's League. He's been doing a great job. So we want to shout out him again for just obviously following up with us and obviously just listening and seeing what we're doing to get better and obviously improving his life just for his general time just doing what he's doing and being able to listen to what we got going on. So we're excited about that. So again, it's Dear Radio Show on all platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you same time next week. Peace.
Peace.